Us today. It's a pleasure to be here again with the PDAC. I see many friends from across the Northwest Territories, including the Clecho First Nation, the Yellowknives Dene First Nation. So it's an honor to be with you. For those who I haven't met, my name's Rebecca Alty. I'm the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations and the Member of Parliament for the Northwest Territories. Or for this crowd, I am the Member of Parliament for 23 of the 34 critical minerals. So it's great to be here alongside my good friend and colleague, Minister Hodgson, who will be up momentarily. But we're also joined by Parliamentary Secretary Claude Guy, Parliamentary Secretary Brendan Hanley for Canmore and Northern Affairs, MP Seema Arkan, and if I'm missing any colleagues in the crowd, my apologies. It's great to see such a big crowd. As everyone knows, the past year, it has been clear that the global economy landscape is shifting, becoming more uncertain, and dangerous. Canada and Canadians know that we're at a turning point. Throughout our history, mining has always been foundational to our country's growth. And today, it's once again at the center of how we think about competitiveness, resilience, and long-term prosperity. The world is looking for stable, democratic, and responsible suppliers of minerals, from precious metals to the critical minerals needed for clean energy and new technologies. Here in Canada, we have the capital, we have the talent, and we have a government that's ready to move quickly in order to meet this moment and build big things. Or as one of the panelists said yesterday, we have the rock, paper, scissors. We have great rocks, we have great regulations, and we have scissors that can work to reduce some of that red tape and then use those scissors to cut the ribbon for those big openings. The way I look at it is we're undergoing this fundamental shift in the global economy, and we have a choice. We can choose to respond cautiously and defensively, or we can respond with ambition and confidence, and we choose the latter. Our choice is to turn the challenges our country is facing into opportunities. Opportunities to strengthen Canada's position as a global mining leader. Opportunities to build resilient supply chains with trusted partners, and opportunities to ensure that the benefits of resource development are shared broadly and responsibly. With that, it's my great pleasure to introduce my colleague who's going to tell us all about how our government is going to drive this change. With that, please join me in welcoming Minister Hodgson.
Okay. It's a great crowd. It's wonderful to see you all here. Hello, bonjour tout le monde. Over the course of this week at the PDAC, every announcement, every deal, and every conversation has pointed to one simple truth. Canada is a mining nation. And after years of delays and uncertainty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are once again a global mining leader. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that's where we belong. The announcements I'm making today, along with the 30 new deals that we announced under the Critical Minerals Production Alliance yesterday, will propel our industry to new levels. They will get new mines built, Canadian minerals to domestic and international markets. They will create jobs and lasting benefits for hardworking Canadians, and they will decisively strengthen Canada's economic sovereignty and national security. Today, we are announcing over $165 million in new Natural Resources Canada funding for 22 Canadian projects focused on accelerating planning, development, and processing projects right here in Canada. These investments mean new critical minerals infrastructure, innovation, carbon reduction, geoscience, and Indigenous partnerships for Canada. It also means accelerating and unlocking an additional $435 million in Canadian project investment across 8 different provinces. Let me say that again, $435 million in Canadian projects from coast to coast to coast. This is a good thing. These are the types of investments that can transform an economy and this industry. These investments will also support Canada's long-term plans under our new defense industrial strategy, which will advance prosperity and security by strengthening Canada's defense industrial base. I'll break these investments down. They include more than $25 million under the Critical Minerals Research Development Demonstration Program to drive innovation and advance cutting-edge technologies. Nearly $18 million under the Energy Innovation Program to advance clean energy and mining technologies that improve resource reliability, affordability, and competitiveness while reducing emissions. Nearly $3 million under the Indigenous Natural Resource Partnership Program to strengthen Indigenous economic participation in mining, and more than $2 million under the Critical Minerals Geoscience and Data Initiative to enhance access to high-quality geoscientific data and generate new insights that reduce exploration risks. To further the geoscience work, yesterday we announced up to $40 million to advance the Canadian Digital Core Library, a made-in-Canada tool that will modernize how we understand our resources and embark on new discoveries which can turn into new projects and mines. I was also happy to sign a declaration of intent on the Core Library with leading industry, academic, and innovation partners. By bringing together cores from the federal, provincial, territorial, and private drill core collections, we can fast-track exploration, we can improve investment certainty, and that will get projects moving that will become the resilient value chains Canadians and our allies are counting on. Perhaps the most significant piece of today's announcement has to do with one of the most persistent obstacles facing projects in Canada, and that is infrastructure. The road that does not yet exist, the transmission line that stops short, the processing facility that is just out of reach. These gaps can determine whether a project advances or remains stranded. They certainly determine whether Canadian minerals get to global markets. That's why I'm pleased to formally launch the First and Last Mile Fund, which assumes the Critical Minerals Infrastructure Fund, with 5 new projects receiving a total of $115 million. Over the next several years, the First and Last Mile Fund will invest $1.5 billion in infrastructure projects that are key to developing Canadian mineral supply chains, including mine development enabling critical infrastructure for processing and transportation. Put simply, this fund will catalyze delivery of our resources to domestic and international markets. Recognizing that many critical mineral deposits and infrastructure projects are located on Indigenous territories, the fund will also prioritize Indigenous participation and leadership across the value chain. Our first set of investments under the fund include pre-construction activities like Indigenous engagement, environmental assessments, and detailed planning and shovel-ready projects moving ahead with energy upgrades. This includes projects like new hydropower in British Columbia and transmission lines in Saskatchewan that will not only enable new mining, but improve the quality of life in regions where mining happens. I'm also excited to share we will officially launch Budget 2025's second mining fund, the Critical Minerals Sovereign Fund, this spring. This $2 billion fund will invest in critical mineral projects and companies through a range of instruments that are new to Natural Resources Canada, including equity investments and offtake agreements. This world-scale fund will improve project economics, secure enhanced certainty for investors, and build strong supply chains for priority Canadian critical minerals. It will put critical mineral cards in our hands at a time when we need those cards to play and build a stronger, more secure, and more sovereign Canada. I also want to take a moment to discuss one of the most exciting topics for a room full of miners, investors, and politicians: regulatory streamlining and environmental assessments. Since even before I was sworn into cabinet, I'd consistently heard one message: certainty matters. Capital flows to jurisdictions that combine high standards with efficiency, clarity, and very importantly, predictability. I've said since day one, we must move from delay to delivery. So to dovetail that with the signing of one project, one review agreements across the country, and the work being done by the Major Projects Office, today I'm proud to launch a tool specific to mining, the Mine Permit Navigator. The Navigator is a practical tool designed to improve transparency and coordination in federal permitting to support our industrial partners. This will provide proponents with clear guidance on regulatory requirements and defined pathways through approvals. It will make sure that mining companies, big and small, can spend less time on bureaucracy and more time building. Finally, I will note this work is not just happening at Enercan. Yesterday, the Prime Minister witnessed the signing of a $2.6 billion deal between Cameco and India that will see India purchase 22 million pounds of uranium from Cameco, a great Saskatchewan company, creating jobs and economic growth here at home. And this morning, my colleague Minister McKinnon announced that tomorrow we will launch calls for proposals for two major infrastructure funds that will support our mining industry further: the $5 billion Trade Diversification Corridors Fund and the $1 billion Arctic Infrastructure Fund. Put all together, today's announcements send a clear message. Canada's new government is reshaping how we develop our mineral wealth. It is not enough to just have resources. We must unlock and leverage them so we can deliver security, prosperity, and opportunity for Canadians and our allies around the world. Our mining sector already supports nearly 725,000 jobs here in Canada. It represents 5% of the country's GDP. Today's investments in our government's entire strategy, from defense to automotives to clean electricity and to climate competitiveness and beyond, means we will only see these numbers grow. Because Canada is not content to simply extract value, we are determined to retain it, to grow it, and ensure it benefits Canadian workers and families from coast to coast to coast. Where are you guys in question period? Ladies and gentlemen, Canada is putting its mineral wealth to work so that every Canadian, no matter where they live, can benefit from the resources beneath our feet. Because what is the point of being an energy and natural resources superpower if not to make Canadian lives better? And at PDAC, the world comes to Canada. This year we see something new and unmistakably clear. We are building again. We are securing our future by Canadians, for Canadians. We will not only compete in this new era of uncertainty, but we will shape it. We will strengthen our economy. We will support our allies with safeguards. We will have a secure and prosperous planet. That is how we turn resource strength into national strength and position ourselves as a global leader in the minerals that will define the 21st century. Put simply, we are back as a global mining powerhouse. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Okay.
All right, thank you, Minister. We will now turn it over for the media Q&A portion.
Okay, so there you have it. We're going to forego the questions and answers period. And hope you'll ask your own and leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We'll be back.